Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/Marku42. Over 150,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player.
I'm Colin Baker, and you are listening to Mark-42, The Meaning of Life.
Mark-42, Universe.
Welcome to Mark-42's WHOniverse, Doctor WHOniverse that is, and you're listening to us on Krypton Radio. I'm your host, Mark-Baumgarten, and with me as ever are...
Patricia-helm.
And Eduardo-m-Freyre.
And Christian-basel. And resistance is futile. Even though I took this from another TV show.
Boy, that's an exciting opening, I must say. Christian, well done.
There's more where that came from.
Oh, no, we're in trouble. It's another new show here on the WHOniverse, but let's go right to...
Let's go right to Doctor Who News with our Doctor Who correspondent, Patricia-helm.
Did everybody watch the show last night? I'm sure you did.
Oh my God, I watched the show, I watched Deep Breath again, and then I watched the show again.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I had to watch it again.
Yeah.
It's like I wanted to... Yes, and again.
And again.
Well, the ratings came back for Deep Breath.
Did I count as several viewing ratings? Because I did.
I know. The overnight figure for Deep Breath was 6.8 million.
In the UK?
In the UK. Okay. So that was like 32.5% of the audience was watching.
Oh, wow.
Deep Breath.
So a third.
Which sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Except that the overnight figure for Rose, the very first episode, was 9.9 million.
Oh.
And the Christmas Invasion, it was 9.4 million.
That's right, the Christian Invasion.
The Christian Invasion, because the Basils come to town and stay at your house.
Which is defining my moment of going to the UK to visit those 2/3 of the people who didn't watch Doctor Who that night. I'm paying them, it's the Christian Invasion. Beware.
And the 11th hour was 8 million. It's a bit lower.
Yeah.
And the actual total figure for now that they have the complete figure is 9.17 million.
So that includes the iPlayer.
That includes the iPlayer, the DVR, all that stuff. But it scored an audience appreciation index, which is out of 100 of an 82.
Now that's good. That's good.
Yeah, that is good.
That indicates what the public's appreciation is for a show in the UK. So that's pretty good. Now, as far as over here, it was actually the highest rated season premiere to date on BBC America.
Wow.
So it was 2.6 million viewers from 8 till 10 o'clock.
Now, wait a second. 2.6 million?
Yes.
Compared to other cable networks, that sounds like that's like really high.
It is pretty high. It was the number one program on all of cable.
That's what I mean. Yeah, wow.
And for the viewers between the ages of 25 to 54, which is basically, that's the target demographic.
Well, that's good. I'm in the target. At least I'm in the target demographic.
I think, you're still in there.
I think for once we're all in the target demographic.
Thank Rassilon there. Oh.
I'll give Mark a bell curve on this.
Oh, Christian, we're going to repel you in the Christian invasion. We're going to repel the attack. Oh.
And Doctor Who was the number one show in all of television on Twitter and Tumblr for the whole day.
Oh.
It was the most talked about show on Twitter and Tumblr.
I noticed on Facebook that Peter-Capaldi was trending.
Yes, I saw that too.
You know what? It probably also helped that in the week leading up to Doctor Who, BBC America was playing every Doctor Who episode they have and a ton of specials and, Adventure in Space and Time. They were getting the audience excited.
You guys said that you watched The Ultimate Companion?
I did, yes.
You did?
I did. Yeah, we did.
I got to see The Ultimate Companion and The Ultimate Time Lord. I thought Peter did a great job, Peter Davison. I was so happy that they gave him the job to host those. Those came out really well.
Didn't watch The Ultimate Time Lord. We watched The Ultimate Companion. It was fun. It was a fun
it was a fun show.
Special.
That's what it was supposed to be. Fun.
Yeah, and it wasn't also like a rehash of the type of shows we got, like with the Revisited.
Oh,
with,
yeah.
Talking Heads, more of a focus on Moffat and Tennant and Smith and, anybody from the new show, while the old show, maybe, hey, look, here's Katie Manning for 5 seconds.
And it was cool that they went to Texas to do some interviews at a convention. That was nice. They did a good job with that.
I think John Barrowman treated me the same way when I tried to get his autograph, too.
He did. Totally. You got treated the same as
Garrett.
Davison.
I think, did anybody else geek out when 5 and 12 are talking to each other, and then there's that moment that, thank you, doctor, oh no, thank you, doctor. And it's the two Peters, too.
Yep.
Wasn't that the name of a Family Guy episode? I don't know.
No, it's the name of an episode, but nothing we can talk about here.
Well, the overnight figures also came in for Into the Dalek, and it actually dropped off a bit. It's down to 5.2 million.
Wow. Dalek in the title, and it went down?
Yes. I hope this
like-
is not a trend. I hope it's not a trend. Have you guys ever played Minecraft? I haven't. I know what it is, but I haven't ever played it.
I've never played Minecraft, but I've seen it played. It's quite interesting. At the same time, it's quite boring.
I know a lot of younger kids play it.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of younger kids really like it. Well, for the Xbox 360 edition, starting in September, they're going to have access to a bunch of Doctor Who things for that game.
Wow.
And
I might have to start liking Minecraft.
I guess you go online and you buy packs, I guess is what they call them, and you just get like a bunch of different things that you can use to build your little cities and things like that you build in that.
The packs will have things called skins in them, and the skins will take over certain shapes and things that are in the main Minecraft game so that they look like Doctor Who objects.
Yeah, it says that the first pack is inspired by the 12th Doctor, as well as 5 other Doctors.
Wow.
And I guess you get some of the companions and some of the other adversaries of the Doctors, like the Daleks. But the first pack is only priced at just $2.99.
Well, again, because you can't play Minecraft with just a pack. You need to have Minecraft.
game.
This is just an add-on.
As time goes on, they're going to be releasing more and more packs, and it says that each pack will feature at least 6 Doctors. So that's pretty good.
Have you ever seen all those pictures around the internet that take the 80s arcade games and replace them with Doctor Who icons, like Pac-Man, but it's the Doctors, and you have 11 other lives under the screen, and the Daleks are the ghost monsters. Are you serious?
I saw one that was Donkey Kong.
Yeah, that's the one too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was Donkey Kong.
It was Dalek, and the Doctor was Super Mario and all that. I think we see a trend here. We should just have games.
I want to get
Doctor Who
this. Where is this?
I'll try to see if I can find the link. I've just been seeing them off and on, perusing
look for the
Doctor
link.
Who
I
sites.
totally want to see that. I want to play that.
I'm still waiting for that version of Duck Hunt where you can shoot the dog. One day.
Wow.
One day. Oh, come on.
Wait,
Come on.
in that
Don't
version,
Yeah, I agree.
in the Doctor Who version of that, would the dog be canine?
Oh,
Do you want to
what are
shoot
you
canine?
shooting at?
No, if it was the Doctor Who version, if it's for Mark, the dog would be Adric.
Yes. And instead of a gun, it's the sonic screwdriver. I hate that. And
The point is, I want a version of Duck Hunt where I can get vengeance on that dog. Laugh at me, you little. How useless are you?
it only laughs at you when you can't aim.
Oh, the views and opinions. Sorry, Peter.
I'm sorry. I'm putting my foot down. That Duck Hunt dog must die.
Did anyone watch the Emmy Awards last Monday?
Yes,
Yep.
I did. Loved him.
Steven-Moffat won for Sherlock for Best Writing.
Yeah, his last vow. Oh, yeah.
Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman also won for Sherlock, which I was pretty excited. I was surprised. It was like, wow, they're finally starting to recognize that not every good show is made in America.
Yeah, and Steven and Mark Gatiss were in the audience, so Steven got to come up and get it himself.
Yes, I was surprised he was there. I was like,
Yeah.
I was thinking, okay, who are they going to have except for him? And then he was there. I was like, wow.
Yeah, and then when he's walking up, the announcer on the show who's describing Steven Moffat brings up, and he's a writer for the new series of Doctor Who.
I know. I was like, no, he's the showrunner.
Yeah, I know.
Somebody didn't do the show prep. Somebody didn't do the show prep.
And the way she was talking, it sounded like she'd never heard of Doctor Who. And I was like,
She
you're an idiot.
did.
See, they should have gotten Chris Hardwick to announce the Emmys.
Oh, that would be fun.
Or Will Wheaton. Will
Wheaton could have done it too.
Yeah.
Will Wheaton, I used to hate Will Wheaton because of the whole Wesley Crusher thing, but you know what? I like Will Wheaton now. Will Wheaton's cool.
You know, I have just one problem with Moffat winning the Emmy.
What?
And that's now we're never going to be able to stop him if he wants to play mind games with us. If we ever want a straight answer from Moffat, we just lost it when he won the Emmy. Because now I can picture either one of us or, somebody's interviewing Moffat and saying, oh, can we get a straight answer about this rumor about Doctor Who? And then Moffat will just bring the Emmy up to his ear and go, I'm sorry, what were you saying? What? What? I shouldn't tell them? What? No, I'm sorry. My friend says I don't have to give you a straight answer. I think I'm going to listen to my friend.
Speaking of the Emmys, you must have been thrilled when they gave George R.R. Martin a typewriter to type with.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Weird Al's version of the theme song. Keep typing.
Type faster.
Keep typing. Type faster. Type faster.
We should get George R.R. Martin to write for Doctor Who.
No.
Just one story.
No.
Neil Gaiman has had 2. Give George R.R. Martin 1.
Yeah, we called it Warriors of the Deep.
No. And
there should have been another way. Yeah, that would have been the perfect line for him.
Well, Stephen Moffat did say...
We'd have the episode The Red Wedding of River Song.
Oh,
by the end of a George R.R. Martin written Doctor Who episode, we'd be losing Jenny, we'd be losing Strax, we'd be losing Madame Bostra, we'd be losing River, we'd be losing Kate Stewart, we'd be losing,
Stephen Moffat did say that there were going to be characters killed this season for good. So George R.R. would be perfect for that.
That's true. But the thing is, though, George R.R. Martin likes to kill the people that are near and dear to you.
We always kill off incidental characters. We have to kill off some important characters at some point.
By your philosophy, Trish, if Martin actually wrote the episode, he had the whole human race wiped out at that moment because he had all of time and that single moment with everybody.
Didn't Douglas Adams do that in Hitchhiker's Guide? We've already had the whole human race killed off. It's pretty much.
Yeah, but that was in a joke. That was in a very dark joke. Martin would be deadly serious about it.
No coming back.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's what Moffat promised.
And I'm still blaming the fan base for that one. Still blaming everybody who said, Moffat kills off my favorite people. And I'm like, no, he didn't. No, this was, he's not as bad as George R. R. Martin. So like I said,
he is.
Self-fulfilling prophecy. You wanted it, you got it. So whenever Osgood gets vaporized by a Dalek, don't start saying, how could you, Steven? It's like, you wanted it. You kept opening your big fat mouth, and there you go.
Okay, Ed, you're still giving me nightmares from the skinning of Vastra from the last episode.
Oh.
I still have therapy sessions from that one.
I'm telling you. I'm just saying.
Jenny walks around with new
# skin balloon. Yeah.
Vastra boots. Hashtag Vastra boots.
Yes, we're gonna get it. We're gonna do that. So Vastra boots, and we'll see if we can create a phenomenon just like Chris Hardwick did.
Wow.
Yeah, thank you for listening to Krypton Radio,
the home of Vastra boots.
Let's see if we can break Christian's brain and just have him curled in a ball going, she's now a pair of boots! She's now a pair of boots!
Trish, keep going, please.
Okay.
Be back. I'm going for psychotherapy now.
Okay, so the BBC, they have released their official synopsis for next week's episode, which is entitled Robot of Sherwood.
Robot of Sherwood.
And this one's written by Mark Gatiss, so I have high hopes for this.
That should be good.
The synopsis says, in a sun-dappled Sherwood forest, the Doctor discovers an evil plan from beyond the stars and strikes up an unlikely alliance with Robin Hood. With all of Nottingham at stake, the Doctor must decide who is real and who is fake. Can impossible heroes really exist?
Well, that's a question, because Robin Hood, he wasn't real. It's a story, it's a character.
I think Jason Connery may argue with that one.
Well, no. Jason Connery was Robert of Huntington. Michael Praed was Robin Hood. Get your Robin of Sherwood figures correct.
No, he was Robin of Locksley.
No. Robin of Locksley was Michael Praed.
Yeah, Mark's right on this one. Yeah, I've confirmed that with Wikipedia.
Thank you.
Wikipedia is user edited, so...
All right. Yeah, I edited it before Christian got to it.
There you go.
See, there you go.
Do it.
There you go.
But it sounds like an intriguing episode, and we'll be reviewing it next week for you. So that's good.
Now, they also released their synopsis for Listen, which is the 4th episode, which is written by Steven Moffat.
Oh, okay. So Steven Moffat wrote it. Steven Moffat's written a lot of the episodes this season, because last season he only wrote like 2. This one, he wrote Deep Breath. He co-wrote Into the Dalek, and now you're saying he wrote Listen. Steven's writing a lot this season.
Yes.
Maybe he is a writer for Doctor Who like this.
think he demoted himself?
Maybe.
I thought the synopsis was really interesting. When ghosts of past and future crowd into their lives, the Doctor and Clara are thrown into an adventure that takes them to the very end of the universe. What happens when the Doctor is alone? And what scares the grand old man of time and space? Listen. Reminds me of one of the teasers that came out.
Oh, yeah.
And now I'm noticing that some of these teasers seem to be episode specific. You know, like there was the one with the Dalek, you know, that obviously was for last night's episode. And then the one with the Doctor sitting on top of the TARDIS looks like he's meditating and he just says, listen. Obviously that's for listen. So now I'm starting to wonder, what about the other ones, like where it looks like the TARDIS is exploding?
Might be coming up.
I have something to say about a theory about that, maybe, that we'll talk about when we get into the show.
I stand by what I've said before, which is I think there's a big chance that all the images of the teasers with the TARDIS exploding and everything like that might not be an actual event so much as it may be representative of something. And evidence is that, we have the teaser which had the dialogue from this episode that we're going to be talking about, but the imagery did not match anything that happened in the episode. So the exploding TARDIS may be representative of something rather than an actual event.
I think he just had Taco Bell. Really bad taco.
That's what happened when you have that fajita wrapped in a gordita or whatever they have
there
now.
There goes our sponsorship with Taco Bell.
I'm thinking that breakfast menu that they have. I'm like, oh my god.
Oh god, man.
Breakfast burrito. Well, McDonald's
that's what's going to kill people off when Steven-Moffat kills people off. They're going to go to Taco Bell and it's like, oh god, my stomach.
No, they're going to Starbucks a lot though. They love that coffee.
That's not Starbucks. It doesn't have the familiar.
I know.
Logo.
It's their universe is Starbucks though.
Right. Should we move on to the birthdays?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I love birthdays. So whose birthday was it last week?
Well, as we record today, Sunday. The 31st, August 31st, it would have been Roy Castle's birthday, who played Ian Chesterton in Doctor Who and the Daleks, the movie with Peter Cushing.
Oh, he was great in that.
He unfortunately passed away from lung cancer, even though he never smoked. It was from secondhand smoke that he actually got lung cancer. And they founded a foundation for him, the Roy Castle Lung Cancer Foundation.
Ricky Gervais is a supporter of the foundation.
Oh, okay.
And September 1st is Burn Gorman's birthday. He played Owen on Torchwood.
Owen, what a creep. What a creep, Owen.
No,
in real life, I'm sure you're a lovely man, but on the show, I mean, really, Gwen was engaged to just wrong, icky Owen.
No, something I noticed, as I was creating the birthday banner for Burn Gorman, I noticed he did Torchwood, he did Game of Thrones, he did Pacific Rim, and then he did Dark Knight Rises. He was Rupert Thorne's Toady.
Yeah.
And that's 3 out of 4 genre-related projects where he died. It's like, wow, this guy's devil's luck. I mean, so far Pacific Rim, he made it to the end, but we'll just have to see what happens. We'll have to see the sequel. Burn, if you're listening, be very nice to Guillermo del Toro. Be very nice to him.
Yeah, you don't want to die 4 times.
Don't make him mad.
You don't want to die 4 times.
Don't make him mad. If it's his birthday coming up, get him something nice.
Not to mention that horrible Christmas movie with Vince Vaughn. Just saying.
Oh.
Which that movie just died, so that might count.
Any other birthdays or news, Trish?
No more birthdays, but there was one more thing that I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
That somewhat news is, well, in last week's episode, Deep Breath, there was the one part where Clara and Strax and Vostra and Jenny are all being surrounded by those clockwork droids.
Mm-hmm.
And Clara tells everyone to hold their breath so that they stop attacking them.
Right.
And then there's that whole part where Vostra shares her oxygen with Jenny.
Oh, yeah.
And, well, this
kiss.
caused quite a controversy. See, it's not really a kiss.
Well, no, I guess
it was like mouth-to-mouth resuscitation.
Yeah. But you got to think about it. They're married. Why can't they kiss?
Yeah, exactly. But it turned into this big, huge controversy. And you would think that it wouldn't. Nowadays it wouldn't, but it is. And in fact, I just found out that the so-called kiss was actually censored in most of the Asian broadcasts.
Are you serious?
Particularly in Singapore, because they can't have any programs that have any content that justifies homosexual relationships.
I bet in Russia, if it's shown in Russia, they'd have to cut it too.
I'm sure it will be.
Wow.
It is.
Well, first of all, I have to ask, Mark and Christian, you saw it with a huge group of people.
Yeah, they thought nothing of it. They thought nothing of it. It was perfectly natural. It flowed. It made sense in the story.
The other thing is, every time I rewatch Deep Breath, you listen, it's Vastra sharing air with Jenny because she can hold more in her lungs.
Right. Right.
It's an act of saving, but because they're standing and because I get because it was, I guess, zoomed in on, it's like, ooh, no, it's a kiss, and it's
Maybe Vostra should have put her mouth over Jenny's nose instead.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Christian, what do you think?
Well, first of all, I'm trying to figure out how Singapore and all these countries that banned it, what were they? They just had their eyes staring at each other and then they cut it back to the fight scene?
They probably cut the I can't hold my breath.
I can't hold my breath, and you saw their big eyes going.
They probably cut out the whole telepathy thing where they were communicating with each other, and they probably cut that whole
I would like to get a hold of a subtitled version of the Singapore dub to figure out, because, okay, the kiss was a big deal, but then what about all the subtle back and forth when Jenny is posing?
Yeah.
What about when Vastra makes that monkey comment? What about that?
Bringing another episode, another storyline, Xena, the last episode.
Oh.
And everybody made big ooh-ah about that, and all she was doing was saving her life by giving her water from a fountain, I think, if I'm not mistaken, to save her life.
Right.
And that kiss was just the same thing, but whether there was something behind her or not, I don't think, the story itself worked. We already knew they were married. They kept pushing around for episodes upon episodes.
It's not like Steven-Moffat was doing an agenda.
I know. I saw one person's comment on this was saying that the BBC is trying to become a porn channel now. It's like, you're equating that to porn? Really?
Miracle Day could have been considered gay porn.
No kidding.
but not this.
Jeez, haven't they watched the shows in the 70s? The full frontal nudity? Where have they been?
Yeah, I don't know.
Seriously,
I just feel disappointed that this is such a big issue. And I mean, it's not. Yeah, I just wish it wasn't.
I just think people who are not shallow-minded about this issue would have seen right through it. I mean, it's one thing if you're going to push an agenda. It's another thing if you're pushing a story. Right. And I think that Total Until Kiss was pushing a story. It wasn't pushing an agenda.
Wow, we're having a great discussion here, and we will have more on Doctor Who with our coverage of Into the Dalek after this break. We'll be right back on Mark Who 42's WHOniverse here on Krypton Radio. Attention all Whovians! While you're waiting for the new episode of Doctor Who, start your own adventures with a book from Mark Who 42 Books. They carry unique and rare books at affordable prices. Visit Amazon.com/shops/Mark-Who42. That's Amazon.com/shops/Mark-Who42. Mark Who 42 Books. Set your imagination free into the Whoniverse.
A female He-Man! Oh, this is the worst day of my life!
We've told the tales of Eternia, and now we head to a different dimension to explore the myths of Etheria. Join Optimus Solo and TFG and Mike as they continue their Mo2 journey by exploring She-Ra, Princess of Power. 35 podcast episodes covering the entire run of She-Ra, the Christmas special, and more. You can find Myths of Etheria on iTunes and www.geekcastradio.com. For the honor of Grayskull, we all have the power.
Say, Jarvis, is it that time?
The house party protocol, sir?
Correct.
The Pull Bag is GCRN's comic book review and discussion-based podcast. Join me, your host, TFG and Mike, and the rest of the GCRN crew as we make our way through the comics we are reading. Inside the Pull Bag, you'll also find back-issue classics and origins episodes of how we got into comic reading. You can find the Pull Bag every Wednesday on iTunes and on www.geekcastradio.com. Make your great escape into comics and jump into the Pull Bag today.
Jarvis. Hey.
All wrapped up here, sir. Will there be anything else?
Hello, this is Rob Shearman, and you're listening to Mark Who 42 WHOniverse.
And we're back with more of Mark Who 42's WHOniverse here on Krypton Radio. I'm your host, Mark Baumgarten, and with me are Eduardo-m-Freyre, Christian-basel, and Patricia-Helm. Hey, gang, we're going to talk about Into-the-Dalek. But first, there's something we didn't talk about when we were watching Deep Breath. The title sequence. What do you think about the new title sequence of the show? Because I've heard a lot of things about it, and I know the original one was a YouTube video, wasn't it?
Yeah, created by fan.
The fan's name is Billy Hanshaw.
Wow. I hope he got paid for this. I hope it's not just a credit at the end of the episode. I hope he got paid for coming up with a sequence.
I did hear, I think in one of those special features, he did get invited to go see, I think they paid for him to go see Doctor Who in the set and all that stuff. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, there's a video out there called Rain.
Mm-hmm.
It's a gorgeous video, and you can even tell that they took scenes from Doctor Who and scenes from probably something that Capaldi has done, but it's just, they don't even say a word, and there's so much said in that video, and that guy, from what I understand, was also sent to see the set of Doctor Who and all that.
When I saw the title sequence, the original one on YouTube, I thought it was amazing. The gears of the clock and stuff. And I was always thinking, this is Doctor Who time. And that's essentially what Steven-Moffat has said, that he had never thought of it this way, but it perfectly works.
It does. I thought it was
Time
really
travelers, clocks. Did you notice the music when the music plays? And I don't like the theme that much. They've changed it a little too much. But
I agree.
They're clock chimes. If you listen to the main part of the music at the beginning, they're all clock chime sounds. Listen to it again. The key notes sound like they're chimes.
I have a theory behind all this.
Uh-huh.
And maybe this might be, for some people who don't see it, I think this might be the brilliance of Moffat. Could you imagine that fans took ownership in their own favorite TV show? Well, I'm just thinking. I'm just going to open the door pathways of this, and you guys can think about it, and everybody in the audience can just kick around your head and think. But could you imagine you being the writer of an episode of Doctor Who, or you being in a part in Doctor Who, or making the theme song, or making the intro, or whatnot? Could you imagine that? That literally your favorite TV show became a fan art, a fan base, and a lot of people who there's a lot of videos. It's not the only video that I've seen out there. I'm like, wow, this should be the theme to Doctor Who, or this should be the intro to Doctor Who. But what do you guys think about that?
No, I agree. When I saw that original video that Billy did online, I thought, boy, they should just take this and use this. It's so good. Yeah. And I did see that also, the Rain one, which I thought was just amazing. I can't believe someone could just, make that. It would be awesome. I mean, could you imagine just...
Mark Who 42 next on Doctor Who.
But if you think back of what Moffat said, and going back to RTD, remember, everybody in the show, in some form or fashion, practically the heads of them, were all Doctor Who fans at one point, who wanted to be on the show, who wanted to do something with the show, who gave their love and heart. So why not make it into the fan-based show and give the fans ownership to it?
Well, John Nathan Turner kind of gave into the fans too, and brought back continuity and monsters from the past. And to be honest, some of that didn't work. A lot of people didn't like John Nathan Turner because he was aiming directly at the fans and pleasing the fans and not the regular main general audience. So going too far might be bad.
Well, I think there's one thing where it is appeasing the fans. Another thing is to stay true to the story.
Right.
And, you have to appease the fans, or the reason why they have it. But again, you got to pull on the tether a little bit and just say, hey, no. This is Doctor Who. We cannot answer this question. We cannot have this kind of episode. We cannot journey into this point, but somehow continue another 50 years. But I think this is a brilliant idea if this is where it's going.
It's good to involve the fans, and I've seen a lot of fan-based material for Doctor Who and for other things. And, Mark does have a point. It's a double-edged sword, because there can be stuff that's beautifully written, but then you can also have a lot of dreck. If Singapore has a problem with the kiss, I've seen some stuff online that they would blow a gasket over. It's good getting the fans involved, but it's also good if they have somebody who's, keeping an eye out and going, yeah, we need something like this. And kind of just cherry-picking what not only gets the fans involved, but helps the show grow.
I agree with it.
I think you can do both. I really think you can do both.
No, you can. You can. You just have to make sure that the person who's observed, whether it's Steven Moffat himself, whether he has a team that is just running through YouTube and through DeviantArt, that, they find this stuff. I mean, I think the thing I think about was in that Doctor Who special about the world tour, the illustrator who was in the U.S. She did some great art.
One other thing I wanted to discuss about Deep Breath, and then we'll get into the Dalek. I watched Deep Breath again yesterday, and Clara is wearing a sweater, and the sweater has bow ties all over.
I noticed that. I noticed that, but I forgot. That.
I mean, I did notice so that. Perfect. But enough about Deep Breath. Let's go into the Dalek. And the first thing that you notice on Into the Dalek is Journey Blue. Now, Journey Blue, the soldier fighting the Daleks, she was an interesting character.
And it was interesting how the Doctor just saved her. Mm-hmm. And I wonder why he couldn't save her brother. It's not like he was, across the spaceship.
I think he was dying in the spaceship. I think he was basically dead. He couldn't save him because he was already dead.
We didn't get any lines of dialogue by the brother. We just had somebody kind of slumped over a chair. So, yeah, he could have been just way too far gone.
And she says, my brother's dead. And the Doctor replies, well, but his sister's alive.
I was taken aback by that because it seems that it's not the first time he's done it. It seems to be a contradiction because he has a respect for life, but then a moment like that happens, and then you go, okay, what just happened there? Is he contradicting himself?
Just like later in the episode when Ross gets killed by the nanogene, and he says, "Oh, he was dead already."
Well, I was like, he was, but he's very.
Well, I know,
rough.
but the way.
Rough.
The way the Doctor said it was like, that's not the Doctor we're used to. We're used to the Doctor trying to save everybody.
Right.
Like, 11 would have ran out there and would have stood in front of the nanogene and tried to reason with it.
Maybe the Doctor has finally realized he can't save everyone.
But Trish, let me throw this in there because maybe I'm overanalyzing this, but I'm just looking at this from another perspective. Remember the fires of Pompeii? He was ready to go. Everything was going to explode, but he was coerced to save one family by Donna.
Why did he choose that face?
And why did he choose that face, and why did he choose that family? Flash forward into Night of the Doctor. He chose to save Cass when all the other crew was dead, or they bailed out. Why does he choose this one particular person to save? So that was running through my mind when I noticed that he rescued her, but not the brother.
You bring a very good point, and it comes back to, is the Doctor a good man? Because it's not looking like the Doctor is a good man. Doesn't look that at all.
Well, he's acting like Colin Baker. His sixth self.
Without the jarring costume.
Well, and he hasn't tried to strangle Clara yet.
Yeah, well, that's coming up in episode 4. That's why you have to listen to Clara screaming.
That's why you see him on top of the TARDIS and he sits there to listen. You see the doors open. There's no Clara. She probably is in like a corridor all strangled up.
She's already dead.
That whole first scene, though, with him and Journey, it showed such an insight into what this Doctor's going to be. His whole attitude. It's just so different from what we're used to. And then, a little bit later, too, when he's bringing Clara to see Rusty that first time, and he's explaining to them who Clara is, and so she's not my assistant. She says, "Oh, I'm his carer," and he says, "Yeah, she's my carer, so I don't have to."
I thought that was a great line. The Doctor had some great lines in it.
But also, what caught me off guard is the way that the Doctor approached Journey in the beginning when she's going like, "You need to take me back to my ship," and she's holding the gun out and goes, "Don't ask me like that."
Yeah.
And then he's kind of like berating her. It's just like, don't ask me that way, He's holding the coffins in the hand.
The Doctor doesn't like soldiers in this incarnation. And not liking soldiers, it could be a very big problem because of, and this is my next talking point, Danny Pink.
Yes.
Danny Pink, fellow school teacher of Clara at Coal Hill School, new math teacher, it seems to have been a soldier. Seems possibly a unit soldier, we don't know. But he seems to be a soldier, and he seems to have definitely killed in the role of a soldier as well as out of the role of a soldier, if the teardrop means something. But Danny Pink Journey Blue. Coincidence? The names are. Danny Pink is supposed to be a TARDIS regular coming up soon, and if he is, the Doctor doesn't know that he's a soldier, does he? He doesn't know him at all yet.
Well, first off, I got to give kudos to the writing for this episode. We see Danny Pink probably all of 5 minutes? Grand total. But in those 5 minutes, we get more insight into his character.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that a question by a student would shake him so bad that he loses his composure like that has to say volumes. I don't think he's unit. I think what he probably was like a regular soldier. Judging by the fact, if you noticed, the first time we saw him, he was outside with the PE class or whatever that was supposed to be.
The ROTC
he was wearing he was wearing camo pants. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say he probably served recently in the Middle East. So he probably is representative of those who have served over there and just got really affected by what they saw.
There's no linkage to unit at all. It's just wishful thinking.
In those few scenes, we have, I think, more about his character than we were expecting.
Yeah.
And it also gives me hope that Danny Pink, it's not just going to be Moffat and BBC saying, "Hey, ladies, Matt Smith might not be gone, but here's some good-looking stuff for you." There's some meat under there. There's some, there's
Trish, is there Trish, was there good-looking? Was her good looking with Danny Pink?
Oh yeah, he's very good looking, and meat. Anyway, but,
I picked the wrong word.
I'm sorry.
You get what I'm saying? There's substance over there.
Yeah.
He's not just going to be. He's not.
We should stop right here.
No. Hold on. Danny Pink's interaction with Clara made me not hate Clara for a few moments. I thought their awkward meeting and talking and the whole situation, Clara was quite lovely in those scenes. She and Danny have a great chemistry, and that's from an anti-Claren. Yeah, well, I had to go on from the joke from last week.
I think you should copyright that or trademark that.
Anti-Claren. Okay.
Anti-Claren, yeah.
Anti-Clarendon, was that?
Trademark Mark-Baumgarten.
Just like the show.
Of course, Danny should be careful that Clara doesn't all of a sudden gift him with bow ties. Wear this. It makes you look cool.
How do you feel about tweed? And suspenders. Suspenders. We have to have suspenders.
Jump into this blue porta potty.
Yeah. For the TARDIS.
Just go with it. Go.
Yes.
Your head looks cold. Here, wear this vest.
Before we get off the soldier topic, one thing, this jumps to the end, but you know when the Doctor rejects Journey Blue?
Right.
When she asked to come with him, which has been a while since someone actually asked the Doctor if they could go with him. And, okay, so he rejects her because, he says, I respect your personality, your traits and everything. It's just too bad that you're a soldier.
And that's what I was thinking of Danny Pink. The fact that Danny Pink, he doesn't know he's a soldier and he's going to take him on. That's going to cause a conflict.
Now, is he rejecting her as a soldier because she's a soldier, would she have been too easily turned into a warrior loyal to him? He's all about not about past mistakes.
Right.
Because he's had too many people that have become so loyal to him, and that whole, actually, main part about Journey's End, I mean.
Yeah.
And of course we saw a little bit of Journey's End in the Doctor's memories. Is that valid? I think maybe,
I like that.
He doesn't want people, dying for him, because all these people become so loyal to him.
Right.
That they're willing to sacrifice themselves.
I think you're onto something there.
That's a good point. I was actually thinking more along the lines of it might also be a case of self-loathing.
There's plenty of that in there. You can see that.
Well, he may not want soldiers because he doesn't want to get too used to the idea. He already did the warrior route a couple of regenerations ago, and he may not want to go back there.
Now let's move on. Here's something that we haven't brought up that we totally should have brought up at the very beginning because of the name of the show, Into the Dalek. The Daleks are back. Oh. We don't even mention the Daleks. We're 40 minutes into the show. We haven't even mentioned the Daleks. Are
too busy talking about the controversies of Silurian human relations.
Yeah.
I think one of the things Danny Pink needs to go on a dating website blog. Seriously.
The Daleks coming back. It's nice to see them again. It's interesting that we have a storyline about a good Dalek. We haven't really seen that since Evil of the Daleks back in the Troughton era, back in the 60s, where the Doctor kind of changes three Daleks, giving them the human factor and making them good, and then they go off and they start a civil war on Scarrow, which is supposed to be the final end of the Daleks. It's interesting that we come back to this theory that there could be good Daleks, but are there good Daleks?
No.
No?
No.
Is
Oh,
Doctor a good Dalek?
Answer, no.
Doctor a good Dalek? Because that was brought up.
Oh, wait a minute. One thing I was thinking, and I want to get this out before I forget. When they first encounter, the Dalek doesn't have any idea who the Doctor is.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is that still the leftover from Clara erasing him? But now, since he shared his memories with the one Dalek, is that going to go back?
The one Dalek knows the memories.
Aren't they all in the same consciousness?
There is a part of it, but it's not all one consciousness because he's good and he's going to be working against the rest of the Daleks.
True.
So keeping it to himself.
It might be leftovers from when Clara and the Doctor wiped out his presence, and it could also just simply be that he's regenerated and they don't know what the new Doctor looks like. I mean, we've had that before.
Yeah.
Day of the Daleks didn't recognize John Pertwee until they captured him and put on a little mind probe dealie and saw
Not
images
the mind
of Hartnell
probe.
or whatever it was.
No, it was a mind probe. I'm just saying.
Okay. Well, yeah,
probe.
they mind probe until they mind probed the Doctor and saw images of Troughton and Hartnell. They didn't know who this old guy was, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, it's the Doctor." So it could be something as simple like they haven't met Capaldi yet, so they don't know that he's the Doctor.
I thought the storyline was quite interesting with the molecular nanoscaler shrinking them down to go into it. Totally bring
Mark. Yeah. I was gonna ask. Is that the same? Is that supposed to be the same device that we saw in Invisible Enemy, or kind of based off the same technology?
I would say based on the same technology, but I don't think they really, back in the 70s when that story was written, nanites and nano, the term wasn't well used. So I don't think it was the same.
I was trying to find the name of the device, but...
Right.
Like, Wikipedia, for example, whoever wrote that synopsis just said, "Oh, they were cloned and micronized," and I'm like, "Oh, you know the name of the invention?"
Yeah. Well, I mean, it could have been the same one, and they gave it a name. But it was interesting, the molecular nanoscaler, because in a way it works like a microwave. I mean, when you're scaling down, if you don't breathe, it's like a sealed package that you put in a microwave. You'll explode. And it was interesting when they brought that up, because then when they were shrinking them down, and at the end, and everyone made it, and it said no one popped, you almost thought, something in this story, someone's going to pop. And that never happened. It was kind of like a piece of information given to you and then for no reason.
It did also, I think, show off kind of how, I don't want to use the word callous, but that line, we're fine, nobody popped, it would seem to indicate that we have had popping incidents in the past. This is kind of the exception rather than the rule, actually micronizing people and not having anybody pop.
How many do you think after that episode the kids went into their microwave and started doing that?
I got my
and should have put a disclaimer at the end of the show there.
Got my frozen lasagna. Gonna put it in a microwave and watch it explode.
Something that was just rubbing me the wrong way, and it's more of a continuity thing than anything else, was the question, is the Doctor a good man? And there's a couple things that come up that throw me a little bit.
Okay.
First of all, we had a whole episode in our previous incarnation called A Good Man Goes to War.
Mm-hmm.
So the Doctor's changed after regeneration, plus... something that I don't know why it's kind of irking me with this story, but in Dalek, the Doctor gets verbally backhanded by the Dalek himself when he says, "You would make a good Dalek," and now the Dalek says, "You are a good Dalek." So I was trying to see how the continuity fits, and both times you could tell he was affected by what happened in the Rob Sherman story, where he goes, "You would make a good Dalek," and his eyes just go, "I have no retort to this, so seal the vaults." In this one, he's just told he's a good Dalek. Not me, you.
And by sharing his memory and his soul with the Dalek, and the Dalek, still seeing hatred, again, are you a good man? The Dalek didn't think that. I mean, the Dalek thinks he's a good Dalek because he's a bad man, maybe.
Well, the
the
Dalek,
hatred of the Daleks.
I think the Dalek just has a tendency to latch on to the hate. And he took just the hate that he saw. He didn't.
It took more than
look at all the
hatred came last.
Yeah, but that's what he latched onto. It's like he didn't choose to focus on the good. He chose to focus on the hate.
It's interesting that it focused on the Doctor's divinity for a little while, the Time Lords being gods.
One of the Doctor's lines was, we have to go into the most frightening place in the universe. I'm going to have to take us back for a second to the most frightening place in the universe.
Okay.
And dredge up Rings of Akatan for a second.
Just that episode.
Is that the frightening place or the episode was frightening?
Yeah. Anyway,
need some clarification there.
Well, no, because this is the thing. The scene with the Doctor, sharing his memories with the Dalek, reminded me of the speech that 11 gave to the Angry Sun. It seemed as though the 12th Doctor was taking an old chestnut out of the playbook and thinking, oh, let me share my mind. And in this case, it backfired because instead of being a help, it actually hurt. Okay, he didn't create a good Dalek. The Dalek is still murderous. Uh-huh. It's just now the thing he wants to wipe out has switched. And I think he's more affected now because when Nine spoke to the Dalek and Dalek, it was just words. It was just words, and it was just Nine's raw anger. This time, the Doctor shared his soul, and it backfired.
Yeah.
There was something in there that was so nasty that the Dalek was like, you know what? I think I'm going to keep exterminating, but you know what? I'm going to exterminate the Daleks, and I have you to thank for it. Thanks, Doctor. That hurts.
Yeah.
That has to hurt bad.
And it did. Definitely.
Can we talk about something that was earlier in the episode, but that also kind of goes back to Deep Breath?
Yes, Trish.
The equations on the blackboard in the TARDIS.
And on the floor.
And on the floors and the walls and Deep Breath. They never came back to that.
Is that part of the story arc, maybe? That he's trying to come up with a theory, some kind of scientific theory?
Well, I paused the playback and I looked at the equations on the blackboard and had my brother look at them too. And he says it looks like he's trying to figure out coordinates and things. And I think he's trying to find Gallifrey. I think that's what he's trying to figure out how to get to Gallifrey.
That would be interesting.
What do you guys think?
I like that. I like that idea because he's definitely trying to figure something out. And a lot of what he wrote all over the bedroom in Deep Breath, I'm not a scientist. I can't make heads or tails out of it. If he's looking for coordinates, cool. Excellent.
It feels like he's trying to plot a course because you have equations and then there are kind of circles and lines and stuff that kind of look like it looks like he's trying to plot a course. Whether it's to find Gallifrey or it's something else, that needs to be determined. But yeah, I think he's plotting it seems like he's plotting a course.
Well, in that case, I think he's plotting and finding every Starbucks throughout the universe because that episode started off with him having coffee.
Clara and her coffee. Clara
yeah, exactly.
Loves coffee.
So he has to find where the Starbucks are and go, there's too many of them.
Or maybe, you know what? Or maybe he was trying to figure out how to do the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs.
Jeez. Okay, this Starbucks founded Spice Mocha in the year 20 whatever, so you got to find that now.
Another joke my brother made at the very beginning of the episode when the Dalek ship is chasing the Aristotle. He's like, well, the Daleks don't have any problems following a ship into an asteroid field.
Might not concern us, Admiral.
Yeah.
I just had a thought. Would it have been more of a better outtake if the 12th Doctor, instead of putting the wires together, he headbutted the Dalek and got all his memories in there? Just like Craig. Would that have made an interesting episode right then and there?
The whole Dalek being inside the Dalek thing was interesting. It's interesting to find out that, the Daleks are living creatures, so of course they need to eat. But the fact that they live off of the remains of the exterminated humans that they destroy, that they kind of hoover it up. And then the Daleks have antibodies in the metallic casing.
That's nothing new. That's how they make chicken McNuggets.
He's right. Another sponsor, we don't have McDonald's.
I've lost all the fast food.
One of the soldiers, when he's incinerated or exterminated by the antibody, the doctor gives him something to eat, and it was a power pack so that he could trace where he went after being destroyed.
Yeah, so he could find the vulnerable area.
Right, where the food stuff is stored. But then the other soldier, and I don't remember her name, and I should because she gives her name
Gretchen.
out. What is it, Gretchen?
Gretchen
sacrifices herself again on kind of the doctor's whim. Is he a good man? Don't know. But when she is incinerated or exterminated, she doesn't disappear. I mean, she kind of is there. She's being exterminated, and then all of a sudden, the next shot, she's there again. And in my mind, I yell out in the room where we're watching it, "Missy!" And what happens? Missy!
Yeah.
Oh, Missy's back, and another heaven scene. Trish, you wanted to talk about heaven.
Yes. Okay. Now, I think I said something about this last week where I thought maybe Missy and Paradise was inside the TARDIS.
Uh-huh.
Now, we didn't see the half-faced man actually, push him. We didn't see if he jumped or if the doctor pushed him.
And I think that's going to be a major point.
And like with Gretchen, we didn't actually see her get disintegrated by the nano thing.
Oh.
They are, Clara and Journey take off. The doctor looks like he's going down the hallway, but what if he didn't? What if he came back? What if he's the one that's transporting them into this room in the TARDIS somehow? What if he tells Gretchen, I promise I will do something amazing. What if it's the amazing thing is he's sending her to this paradise? I mean, what if she does die, but he's saving her consciousness, and he saved like the consciousness of the half-faced man, right. Kind of like what he did with River in the library.
Well, see, I have a theory, and gang, if you listen to this show all the time, you know that Ed likes putting his money where his mouth is. Well, I'm going to finally put my money where my mouth is and give you my theory on Missy and Heaven. Would you like to hear it? Should I put my money down?
Sure.
Go for it.
Okay. Missy is definitely Idris, and Heaven is the Matrix. We talked about it a little last episode, but I think it definitely is. I think because what we learn in Deadly Assassin, that the Matrix is the sum total knowledge of the Time Lords. When you die as a Time Lord, all of your brainwaves are picked up and put into the Matrix so that you live on inside the Matrix. And the Doctor has died, but he was given new regenerations. Gallifrey is all but gone. We don't know. It's somewhere on the other side of the crack. And I think the TARDIS, like in the TV movie, having part of the Eye of Harmony in it, there is an interface on the TARDIS that has the Matrix in it. And I think that Idris is collecting data for the Matrix.
I kind of like this theory. That means Lawrence Fishburne will be in it in an episode of Doctor Who.
In Deep Breath, Missy, at the end of it, is dancing, is spinning around. Idris did the same thing. And, I mean, I like the Mary Poppins joke that Mark Gatiss made, because she's got the umbrella. She's Mary Poppins. But I'm so sure of it. It's Idris and the Matrix. I'm just putting my money. I'm putting my money down.
Didn't she say that, was she mad at the Doctor, her boyfriend?
Her boyfriend.
She called it. Didn't she say she was mad at him or betrayed her? Or am I thinking of something else? But, then I was thinking, is that the teaser with the TARDIS exploding? Is she just so pissed off at him? Mm-hmm. Or she's not taking well to this regeneration because, since she's an old TARDIS,
right?
She's only used to Time Lords having 12 regenerations.
Mm-hmm.
Could her circuits be rebelling against this new generation because she's like, what the heck is going on? This is not normal.
Yeah.
So maybe she's having just as hard a time as everyone else is with the new regeneration.
Yeah.
And so maybe she's the one collecting people for...
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Idris is collecting data for the Matrix.
And even the Doctor said the half-faced man, he was more human than he was machine.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like collecting people that have these good personalities because, Gretchen sacrificed herself, and maybe he's the one that actually jumped, sacrificing himself to stop what he was doing because of his human side is kicking in, that he's mostly human, but he still can't have the power to override his main directive. So it's like, are they collecting people that have these good personalities?
Well, see, this is the thing. I mean, I tend to think that this is more that this isn't something the Doctor's doing. because then that begs the question, why is he cherry-picking? Because if that's the case, why didn't he save Ross when Ross got disintegrated?
Well, maybe he did, and we just didn't see that. Maybe we just didn't see that scene. Maybe the Matrix picked that up too.
This is the thing, though. This is the thing, though, because if the Doctor is the one saving these people, and he did save Ross, why not tell Journey something like that?
I don't think the Doctor's doing it. I think the TARDIS is doing it on its own.
Well, yeah, I agree with you, Mark. I'm just saying that the theory that it's the Doctor doesn't hold up to the fact that if he saved Ross, he could have told Journey something. And if not, that begs the question of why. Because if he's doing this wonderful thing, why not say something? The other thing is, if it is a version of Idris, the question still remains, why cherry pick? Is it something that the half-faced man and Gretchen sacrificed themselves willingly? Is Idris doing a repeat of what Davros kind of poked fun at the Doctor for in Journey's End? Oh, you create this.
Since you're going to throw down the gauntlet, I'm going to pick it up.
Oh.
I will take the challenge. I will take the non-ice bucket challenge on this one. And I will put down the imaginary Monopoly money that this is either a splintered or future Clara.
Okay, we mentioned that last time too. We mentioned that.
I did, but I didn't put any money down.
Put some money down. Tell us about it.
This is your official. This is
my official. Just by the discussions you said, because you were just incorporating, why did you cherry pick all these? First of all, I'm not your boyfriend, Clara. So I'm thinking this is a future Clara or an age Clara, because nobody has seen her truly yet except for the people who have quote unquote died. The Doctor comes in and says, I'm going to fix my mistakes over the 2,000 years, and I think Clara is doing that for him. The people who have died or messed up or made mistakes, because we notice this Doctor is not as good as the previous 11. They're kind of sweltering off. Plus, I think she might be using the TARDIS, which makes the TARDIS angry at her. And at one point, I bet you that explosion is caused by Clara, the jealousy between the Doctor and the TARDIS's relationship. I'm the girl. I'm the girlfriend. He's my boyfriend. So I think we are seeing a future her because she's aged a bit so that her age can match his a little bit. That she's not the young girl, so that she's not this young, naive thing. So that's why I'm thinking it's either a corrupt Clara of the future, and this would be a very first time. I think that would be cool that a companion that starts off good, that we normally think is going to be good or dies off at the end, turns out to be bad at the very end. And we did have that talk that Clara was leaving around Christmas or somewhere thereabouts. So could this be the separation? That's where I'm coming from this, and I'm glad we had this discussion because I was really hesitant about Clara being this Splinter or this person or this Missy. She's changed her name because she doesn't want to have anything to do with Clara per se. Wow. That's the old me. This is the new me, and this is my boyfriend, and there's nothing that's going to separate us.
I think we have two good theories, and we'll find out later in the series. And you know what? That's about all the time we have for today, guys.
You must listen to Maku 42. It is on Krypton Radio. It is on iTunes. It is on the Geekcast Radio Network. It has its own website. It is on Facebook. You will listen. You will listen.
Oh, no. The Daleks are back. Oh, that was scary.
Steven-Moffat, you will not use your Emmy as an excuse to continue to jerk us around by not answering questions straightly. The Emmy is not an excuse. It is not an excuse.
Oh, no. We better try getting the Dalek out of here.
I see intelligent writing. I see great plots. I see mind games.
mark-who42.net, the place for the Doctor Who fan to go and listen to Mark Who 42's Whoniverse. We will talk to you, or you will listen to us next week here while we review
Robots
of Sherwood.
Oh my God. Boyna, Gallifrey, and hell. Bye, everyone.
Jason,
bye.
Mark Who 42's Whoniverse has been written and presented by Mark Baumgarten, Patricia-Helm, Eduardo-m-Freyre, and Christian-basel. This show was edited, produced, and directed by Mark Baumgarten. Please visit mark-who42.net and register to join and be a part of the Whoniverse Army. We can also be heard on iTunes, the Stitcher Radio app, Podkicker, geekcastradio.com, and floridageekscene.com, as well as many other places around the net. Tweet us at MarkWho42 and check out our Facebook page, MarkWho42's WHOniverse. We can be contacted by email at mark@markwho42.net. The subject line, ? If you have worked on Doctor Who or are working on a project relating to Doctor Who and want to be on our radio show, please email our media relations director, Christian-basel, at mark-who42media@yahoo.com. Doctor Who and its properties are owned by the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation. This show is owned and copyrighted by Mark Baumgarten 2014. You're listening to Krypton Radio.